Hi, friends. Welcome to Lulu at 2 and a powerful conversation. This looks a little blurry. Powerful conversation with Stephanie Burg. So today we're talking about I just had to stop going live. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. It froze. Zoom froze on my end.
I know. Let me see. Let me try a different connection. Okay. Now I'm on a different connection. And this one, so I think it'll be better. So I'm on two different internets
Oh, okay.
somehow. So let's try this again, especially because like my phone was super fogged up, so I had to okay, I'm going live. Hi, friends. Happy Thursday, and welcome to a powerful conversation with coach and renowned healer and magnificent human being. Hi, friends. Magnificent human being, Stephanie Burg. So we are, hi. Oh my gosh. Hi, guys. So, hi, and she's here.
Hello.
So we're going to talk about a lot of different things today, and really all things energy, which is my favorite topic. So, yeah, let's get started. So
Cool.
awesome. It's so good to see you.
You too.
So what I'm really most excited about right now is in the realm of energy. I've done so much extensive work in the energy body, from a body work perspective. And about 3 years ago, I actually started talking about it, like outside of treatment rooms. Like I actually started talking about energy in a more public way. I started teaching energy. I was running a workshop called Reclaim Your Sovereignty. And it was all around teaching about energy. And what I've realized is there's so much to cover, and there's a lot, like I'm even so excited right now. Like I have so much energy moving through my body and talking about this right now, but there's so much to cover. And I feel like I've been able to kind of break it down into a way that is understandable. And I feel like one of my strengths is being able to describe things in a way that resonates with the being or group of beings that I am with. And so I have no doubt that like what I don't know will become known. And I really want this to use this time to educate everyone who's here. Hi, Sue. Everyone who's here about energy. So what do you want to know about energy?
So, something that I've heard you say several times is that, when you started doing body work, for example, and obviously craniosacral is working with energy as well, but that a lot of things you had to teach yourself, because, nowadays there's like so much more attention on the energetic realm. Reiki is becoming, widely popular, used in hospitals,
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
So people are kind of like ears perked to, like, what is this energy stuff?
Mm-hmm.
People are becoming more accepting of it. But, when you started doing your work, I know that you likely found teachers and people to sort of, support you in some ways. But you mentioned, like I said, a lot of things you had to teach yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe you could share with us what are like the main 1 to 3 things, or anything that stands out. Like what did you have to teach yourself? What were the things that you have learned?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes I forget that. Like, I forget that I had to do that. So thank you for reminding me. Like, I think I operate so I've led myself my entire life. And so I've always been a kind of on this journey of teaching myself things. And so I forget that like other people don't do that in the way that I do. And so I appreciate being reminded of that, because my journey with energy has been a roller coaster. When I decided to go to massage school, I told myself that I would never own my own business. I was like, that's just not for me. Like, I just want to massage people and like love on people and like never be in charge of anything. And then 3 years later, 2.5 years later, I was quitting my job and starting a business. So I've had to teach myself a lot about energetic marketing, understanding really how to like put myself out there in the world. But even more, I've had to teach myself how to protect myself. Like, I was an empath long before it was cool to be an empath. Like, it's so cool to be an empath right now. And I was an empath. I was like in the shadow, dark, muddy, dirty hell waters of having so many people's energy in my field, working in a spa around like 10 other massage therapists, not to mention front of the house, not to mention back of the house, not to mention the clients. I was around so many people. I was working very deeply in my client's energetic field, mainly because I didn't know how not to. Like, I've never been able to just give a massage, ever. I literally don't know how to do it. It's like connect or nothing. And I started to recognize that when I would walk through the door of that spa, I would get nauseous every single day. And I was like, I was fine before I would walk in. I would be walking on the street and I'd be fine. And then I would walk in the doors and I would just get sick to my stomach. And that soon became my signal point of like, there is something in my field and in my system that is not mine. And what my experience of that was kind of feeling ill at ease in my body and being severely impacted by my surroundings. and totally out of my power, totally in my victim, and just surviving, like in total confusion. Like, I don't know why I get nauseous, but I get nauseous and this is really uncomfortable. And like, how do I do this? So I spent it easily the first, I mean, still, but easily the first 7 years of my career asking every single healer I met how they protect themselves and how they ground their energy. And everyone does it differently, which is really cool because I know so many ways to do it now. It was kind of like grasping at the seams, you know. I spoke about this. I had someone ask me once, like, when I knew I had to be a healer or that I needed to be a healer. And it was almost like I didn't have a choice. It was like I knew I needed to be a healer because I needed to heal myself. I knew I needed to learn about energy because I needed it for myself.
So how do you ground and protect yourself now? Is that something that you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, so totally. For me, it's a daily practice. It's a daily practice of being very aware of my own energy and very aware of my emotional state and very aware of how I schedule myself. And, you know, it's like a constant conversation in the foreground of my life, and in ways that I take care of myself in order to remain grounded. But when I offer a treatment in person or remotely, it's a practice of breathing, literally laying my roots down and saying a series of prayers to my guides, to spirit, to God, to you know, benevolent beings everywhere, and really being clear about my intention. Like, I'm here to be of service and hold high space, not to be a sponge or a container or a storehouse or to do something for someone. Like, you're not coming to me so I can do it for you. You know, you're coming to me so you can actually see who you are. You can see your power. You can see what isn't you and what is. You can see what you've picked up along the way that doesn't belong to you and never did. You know, like it's a process of really truly knowing yourself. And in my experience, really truly knowing myself has been a release and a peeling back of a lot of different layers of not self. But a powerful one that I do at the end of a session is I, you know, close my eyes, I take a deep breath, and I just say, please release from my field of energy all that does not belong to me.
And so it's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. And so for someone who may be really new to energy work,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe there's a part of them that resonates with what you've just shared, but their mind is kind of like, you know, like, you know, is this even real? What's she talking about? What do you mean in my field? What would you say to that person?
I know, it's like, it's a constant conversation, right? Of like, does that really exist? And, you know, for me, I had this conversation with a friend this week because she said that some people don't believe in empaths. And I was like, really? Is that true? Like, people don't actually believe that exists? And she was like, yeah, a lot of people. And my response was like, that it amazes me. It amazes me how shut down we can be to ourselves and to our own energy and our own emotions to not notice when we are connecting and influenced in every possible way by our entire surroundings all the time, 100% of the time. And the words that came out of my mouth in that moment were like, I've never had the luxury of not knowing what it's like. So my answer would be, talking about energy in a lot of different ways. So everything has energy. That's physics. It's like you would learn in physics 101 that everything is energy. A block of wood, a tree, your body. And similar to the earth has a field of electric and magnetic energy. And so does your body. Which basically means you operate in a field of electricity. Electricity is what makes your heart beat. That's science. People believe science, right? And you also operate in a magnetic field, where like things are naturally drawn to you or repelled. So magnets work two different ways. They're naturally like magnetized to you, and they can be very repelled depending on the energy and the emotional state that you are in. So someone like Jesus Christ, Mother Teresa, Princess Diana, hugely magnetic beings. People literally could feel the love that they embodied, and they could not tear their eyes away. They could not stay away. That's a different kind of magnetism than someone like Adolf Hitler. Still magnetizing, but magnetizing from love versus fear. And we are all about love here, just so we're clear. But your field of energy is essentially a non-visible aura or spatial radiance that exists around you and every living and non-living being on the planet. And it can be calculated, it can be quantified. You have an auric field that can expand up to 15, I've even heard up to 17 feet, and that's something that can be measured, again, scientifically. Like the electromagnetic field of your heart can expand up to 15 feet. You can perceive things in your space. And you're a dancer, so like you understand this. Like, can you describe the energy of dancing on stage with 3, 6, 12 people and having to know exactly where they are spatially without looking at them?
Yeah, that's really a great example, and I'll share a little bit more about that in one second. But as you were saying, citing some science, a little bit, I'm like smiling because I'm thinking about, my breathwork teacher said, when he would have students that had a lot of questions and need to know the research and got to know, that he would always just say, the part of you that needs to know that, the part of you that needs that clarification and justification around what you just experienced and what you just felt and where you just went, like nothing I say is going to satisfy that part of you. Doesn't matter what the research is. And often that's, really linked, I think, to people's fear of losing control or letting go, which, it's a part of being human. But there are some things that, science is trying to capture, but can't, and I've had a lot of conversations about this with my husband and, a couple of other people in my life, just in terms of, for example, let's say science is trying to now capture like what happens when people work with psychedelics, as we're really entering into this realm of potentially using, those ancient medicines for mental health and healing. And science is, attempting to quantify like the mystical experience. But I think what is really most important within all of that is that, science or not, why it is so profound and powerful to have an experience beyond, the mind, to have a mystical or spiritual or energetic experience, is because it's, number one, it's relative to you. It's your experience that in the best examples, it's something that shifts or alters the course of your life or your way of being. And that, when truly embodied, is something that cannot be taken away from you, no matter what science says or doesn't, and I think a lot of people really long for that reconnection to the divine. And without that, there can be a sense of like loss or like searching a lot of the time. And so, I share that just to say that just because science, says it, doesn't mean that it's necessarily the be all end all. Or if science doesn't say it, it's not the be all end all. I think what's so profound about just what we're beginning to learn about energy and the body and the soul is that, how we feel is really, really, really important. Like, how we experience is very important. Our emotions have intelligence to them. When I first started working with energy, like before I knew what I was, I was working with energy, but I didn't know that that's what I was doing. But when I began studying mediumship with my teacher, Carol, the biggest thing that I had a problem with was convincing myself that what I was experiencing was real. Like, I would have these experiences where I could feel things shift. I could feel the energy shift within the room. I could feel it in my body. And because I couldn't see it, then I would question it. But I've started to really understand, that our bodies are picking up things that our minds can't see, don't know all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. And so when I can connect with someone like you, who, like, it's like, oh yeah, like we get it. We kind of speak the same language to some degree. And I'm, so like, I always love to experience your medicine in this way, because, sometimes it feels like a bit of the Wild West, where before we hopped on this call, we were talking about, sometimes words fail, and like, that's like way back. I just read something that was saying, like, way back, the hieroglyphs and cave paintings and the drawings on the cave walls, at some point that humans became more complex, and so they needed ways of articulating in greater detail what they were experiencing, what was happening in daily life. And so that's where the written language kind of came in. But even still, it's like there's so much more beyond the words, what's written, what is proven to be true, that I just don't even question it anymore. Like, I just don't. So with all of that being said, I didn't answer your question about dancing, but I do want to ask you, there was another question that I wanted to ask you regarding that, like, speaking the language of energy and learning from you. I want to share this example, which feels really relevant and important to share. The first time I met you, I believe, one of the first times I met you, I was on your table for craniosacral, and I forgot who, led me to you. Emily. It was Emily, our friend Emily Castle.
Yeah, yes. It was Emily.
Emily Castle. And
thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Emily. We love you. And I laid on your table for a session, and as we were in the session, you and I saw the exact same thing in our mind's eye, like something that had happened in one of my relatives' lives, which now I understand from this seat that is generational trauma, which is stored in our DNA, you know, so we do know, even if we don't know, we know that, you know, that stuff, those experiences, that trauma is passed down. You and I saw the exact same thing in our mind's eye. And I don't think we shared about it after the session. I don't remember exactly. I think you probably remember the experience that I'm speaking of. But, you know, I have had so many experiences like that, working in this realm and working with you, playing with you, just, you know, being friends with you, that it's, you know, there's just a lot more that is transmitted between bodies and souls and minds than what we, you know, can often prove. So I'm curious to know if you could share a little bit more to that, like the body, the soul knowing more than what the maybe mind wants to admit. Just anything that comes to mind. What would you add?
Well, your body is full of information. You know, like there is, some people would refer to the body as the subconscious mind, because there's 90% of our brain we don't have conscious access to. I mean, I think it's like 89%, but about 90% of the brain we don't have access to. And we basically experience it as an automatic autopilot moving through the world. You know, you don't have to tell your arm to bend or your foot to move. You know, if there is like a healthy expression of the body. And there's so much conversation happening between the mind and the body that you are not privy to. You know, I didn't hear my mind just tell my mouth to speak the words that I'm speaking right now. You know, so like we first have to be willing to admit that there is a lot that goes on in our lives that we are not consciously witnessing. You know, like the world is spinning, the wind is blowing, the trees are moving, the birds are flying, like, you know, my blood is pumping, my body is digesting the watermelon juice I just drank. Like there's so much happening that we don't have control over, and that we don't need to have control over because of that innate trust. You know, like the body knows exactly what to do with the cardboard crap that you put in, as well as like the life force energy that you put in. It knows exactly what to do. It doesn't need your help. And so I think just first being willing to acknowledge that is a really important step. Like, oh, wow, yeah, I don't have to tell my heart to beat, or my mind to think, or my arm to move. You know, there's a lot of things that we learn how to do, but there's even more that we never have to really learn.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and there are more too. Well, I would love to know, why do you think people are drawn to working with you? That may be a difficult question to answer.
No, it isn't. It isn't, because I know the answer. You know, I get it over the years. So I believe, like most people in particular, like clients that have been drawn to me over the years, are ones that are really ready to drop into their medicine. Like, I've experienced so many people that come to me because so many other things didn't work. And they're like, you're my last hope. I've tried everything, you know? And that's a really commonplace thing for energy work, energy medicine, craniosacral therapy, chronic pain. Like there are so many things that our current medical system is not really equipped or educated in processing. Like we are not strong. Western medicine is not strong in chronic pain. We don't know what to do with it. You know, traditional doctors don't know what to do with it. They can start to study diet, and they study energy, and they study psychology and they study a lot of different things that start to come into play. But there's, they're not really equipped. And someone who studies, like I have a degree in psychology, and like my entire life I've been interested in the body mind connection. And mainly because my entire life, every thought that I experienced viscerally. And so I had this emotional processing to my entire experience. And because of that, when I actually had something traumatic happen, like my father being ill, I actually became ill and I didn't understand. And so I have this really rich experience and understanding how you feel. I can tell you how you feel before you even say anything because I can feel it. And I have this ability to really see people and really see where they're at and understand and offer that medicinal validation. Like, yes, you are hurting here. I can feel it. Like, yes, this is happening. I can feel it. And like, it's actually this, so I have kind of developed this language of speaking to the body, which I always used to giggle after sessions of you, like, we just had the most magnificent conversation and not a single word was spoken. But we were both privy to that conversation, but it was in a language that was not spoken. It was like felt, it was understood, it was experienced. And I would say people come to me when they're really ready, because I've had people come to me when they're not ready and they don't come back. Like we reveal something that they weren't ready to see. And so they never come back. And it's just, that's just the way the spiritual path works. Like we can only work with what we're ready to work with. And so I think people are drawn to the power of the medicine that I offer because it is coming from such a deeply embodied, experienced place. I have people that just like see my website and they're like, I don't know you, but I know I have to work with you. And so that's the best answer I can offer. Like,
That's great.
I've witnessed it.
Yeah, it's great. And so, now as you are shifting out of doing as much body work, and you're stepping more into teaching and leading and healing in that way. Tell me about that transition. Like, how did you arrive to the
bumpy
place?
parts or the fun parts?
Whatever feels true.
Because it's been bumpy and blessed. It's been totally blessed, but it has been a bumpy ride, this transition. But essentially, like the clarity has come recently. And so I'll share the clarity with you. And if you want to hear some of the gory details, I'll also share those. But the clarity is basically, we're going through a lot. Our collective consciousness, our people, our planet, our minds, we are going through so much. And it's like, it's not enough just for me to put my hands on one person 3 times a day or 3 people. It's not enough. There's too much going on. And it's like, it's kind of this energy around like teaching a man how to fish, teaching a woman how to understand her own energy, teaching a man how to clear his energetic field, like understanding what is you and what isn't, understanding what feels true and what doesn't, and this is a really big part of this course, Embodied Magnetism, that I'm like creating to offer is moving from a lifestyle of allowing your body to, or your environment to impact you all the time, to moving to a place where you are influencing your energy, as opposed to everything else experiencing your energy, influencing your energy. And so just that step is massive. It's like, but I feel this call to begin teaching people how to understand their lives from an energetic perspective, and how much permission that offers your entire system, and how much like excitement you can feel when you actually know and understand energy. Like it's a playground. Like when you really get it, it's a playground. And then like the third level, like even from 1 to 2 is huge. Moving from victim to like, influencer, creator is massive. And then for me, what embodied magnetism is like the next level, which is actually leading the energy that surrounds you, leading your environment, impacting your environment before it can even influence you. Like you are creating the experience that you are having, and how to do that. And, some of this course was really born out of teaching, the desire to teach energetic marketing, which you and I have had hilarious conversations about.
I'm thinking of one particular example, which we can share in a second because it happens like regularly. But what is energetic marketing? Can you just share a little bit about what that is?
So it's a way of magnetizing experiences, clients, people into your life, by one, being clear about what you want. 2, like allowing your system to reorientate to that new like frequency, that new like level, like a rebalance. 3, starting to like actually amplify, to put out. We all know the law of attraction. This is like a similar, but understood from an energetic level. So actually putting out that frequency. Like I love teaching about energy. Like, thank you so much. Like clarity would be like, all I want to do is talk about energy. I want to teach people about energy. And the rebalance would be, I am now calibrated to a frequency where I can do that with ease. Like I get it. I understand it. I'm available for it. And amplifying that frequency would be like, I love this so much. I just want to share it. And so I'm putting out this energy of like really wanting to share love, wanting to share information, wanting to share really my blood, sweat, and tears. Let's be honest. That's what I'm sharing. I'm sharing my blood, my sweat, my tears, my pain, my illness, and I have turned it into something magical.
Yes. And
So
here's one of the things, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but here's one of the things that I witness in terms of what I believe when people work with you or why they're drawn to you, is that there is that, like, I'm trying to think of a better word than embodiment, but I can't. There is an embodiment of, living in alignment with what you teach, which I think for anyone that is with us or watching this, when you've been under the care or influence or relationship with someone who's, and no judgment, but someone who's not like walking their talk. It's like the practitioner who says, I tell my clients or my patients to do this all the time, but I don't even do it. Like there's something about that I feel weakens your medicine as a practitioner, meaning what you offer, like we're using this term medicine, like what we offer, our offerings are part of our medicine. The
Mm-hmm.
things that we teach are part of our medicine. But when we're not in alignment, when we're not actually living, embodying, breathing, like being that living example of the medicine that we share, that we teach, that
Mm-hmm.
we offer, that actually weakens it. And I think that that's something, people are drawn to because of the embodiment of that alignment. So when we're talking about energetic marketing, I believe that there is something that is amplified, within a practitioner's essence. It's like when you see someone and you're like, I just know that I'm supposed to work with that person. I don't even know why, but it's an intuition. And I think a lot of, my clients come to me that way as well. It's like, there's something where they're like, I don't even know, like, what do you even do?
Yeah, it's like they know that you have overcome what they're trying to overcome, and they see it in you.
Yeah.
It's like, it's irresistible. It's like, it's undeniable. It's a knowing.
Yes.
It's like, I
And
know that you have what I need to learn.
yes. And the key is within that knowing is
Mm-hmm.
the people that are really ready to essentially do the work for themselves. Because recognizing it in another is one thing. Going to that practitioner, that person, and expecting them to do the work for you, and even potentially follow the like roadmap or blueprint that they took in order to get to where they are, like it doesn't work that way. We've seen the meme, whatever it is, the quote, like the most powerful healers are the ones that activate that healer within you. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really the paradigm that we're stepping into now, where, I'm sorry, but no doctor knows my body better than me. What's
Mm-hmm.
going on inside of my body. They may be able to treat illness or symptoms, in a way that, I might not have knowledge of, but ultimately I am the master of my experience. Like I know my
Yes.
experience so much more intimately than anyone else. I
Yes.
have blind spots for sure, which is why I receive support, just
Mm-hmm.
like you. It's like, and I think that that's an important thing. Like when people are really ready and willing to do the work and to, put that in, then the teacher appears for one, but they are more likely to seek out, someone that's going to really empower them to live the change that they're longing for, to like live that transformation in a way that becomes their own, like their
Mm-hmm.
life becomes their work of art, not just a replica of someone else's journey.
Mm-hmm. I tell my students that as well. I'm like, seek the teacher, not the subject. Like, you want to learn about hypnotism? Find a teacher. Don't find a course. Find a teacher.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, the best teachers are the ones who are like afraid to create a course. It's like they're like still working on their own worthiness. I've had this conversation before with Kelly Jean Moore, who owns Mission Yoga. She's like, I am 100% more likely to hire the teacher who is so nervous and like, I really want to do a good job. I don't know if I'm ready. Are you sure I'm ready? Than the one who's like, just got out of the teacher training and they're like, I'm ready. I have so much to teach. I know exactly what I'm here to say. Like I know exactly what I'm here to say, but that's because I have been the one who was afraid and trying to figure it out for almost 11 years.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? Where is it? Where is it? What am I doing? Like, and essentially like what I desire most is to teach in a way that allows someone to not have to go through what I went through. Like I know it's a powerful lesson, but like if I could spare someone some of the pain that I have experienced in my life because of energetic awareness or emotional awareness, which emotions and energy, they're the same thing. I'm here for it. I'm here to do that. Like I have bumped into so many walls, like I've made so many mistakes. Like learn from them. Like, please help me help you learn so you don't have to bump into those walls. And I feel like you and I both really identify as trailblazers. You know, part of why we're here is like we're blazing the trail. We're talking about the weird shit that nobody understands so that our daughters or our nephews or our sisters and like, you know, our students can like run through that field. And everyone's like, yeah, we get it. Energy really is everything.
Yes, it's so funny to hear you say that, because when you said trailblazer, I had like a kind of like a reaction. I was like, oh, I didn't call myself that. But I mean, you and I have talked about this many times before. When I was working in nutrition and started talking about intuitive eating, people thought I was freaking nuts. You know, when I was talking about like, you know, I like elimination diets and like how your body feels in response to foods. Like this was, you know, before the Whole30 and all of these different diets, and people were like so resistant to that. And I get it, you know, we get set in our ways, but you know, I think there's a comfort that kind of comes like in finding your people that are resonant with the fringes. As many times as I've been called a hippie,
I can speak your language.
Yes, or new ager or woo woo or whatever, you know. It's like, I mean, at this point I'm like, call me whatever you want, you know, because in like 10 years, you know, like,
right, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're gonna wish that you listened the first time.
So back to energetic marketing.
Oh yeah, tell the story.
Okay, well, interject if you feel like there's, you know, anything that you want to add. We had been talking about energetic marketing and essentially this idea of, it's a feminine principle, right? It's like being the lighthouse and having, you know, things attract to you as a result of that dynamic, shining your light, expanding your energy, and trusting that the right people, places, things will come to you. That's it, Cliff Notes 101. Now it could go into a much more robust like explanation, but that's that. So, and I was making a joke about how I call one of our cats my husband's real wife. I'm like, that's his real wife. Anytime he's sitting down or anytime we're snuggling, she literally comes and gets right on top of him. And
in between you,
or in between us, like right in the, like we'll be snuggling and she'll be like right in the middle, like, I want some of that, let me in, you know. Or if he's relaxing, if he's by himself, like literally she's right on his like lower chakra, it's like on his pelvis, she's like, I want that grounding, like I want that. And you said that's energetic marketing. And I was like, every time that happens, I think about that because it happens multiple times a day, but it's like, yeah, that's energetic marketing. She feels that love or that grounding or that relaxation, and comes in and is like, I want that. Let me get right in it, you know? So I couldn't think of a better, like a real life example of what that's, what that is, what that's like. So thanks for calling it out, because it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, and like ideally, energetic marketing is for leaders. You know, like it's a way of really owning your leadership and putting yourself out there in a way that is not physical, like it is not identifiable, like the way that we're putting ourselves out there. Like this is a way to put yourself out there as a beacon that doesn't require any external energy or words, or, you know, it's about being. And it is like a very feminine energetic principle, you know, feminine as in everything has masculine and feminine elements, not as feminine as in woman. You know, this is accessible to men and women because we both, as human beings, you know, even non-binary gender, it's a human principle. It's like you have a magnetic field, and I want to teach you how to use it for good, you know, for love, in a way that is embodying love, so that you can really like bring more clients into your life, bring more opportunities for you to be in a leadership role, to embody more fully the leader that you're here to be. You know, there's so many different, I feel like, nuggets of wisdom that you can receive from learning about energy, because it changes and it really touches every part of your life, because it touches every part of your being, you know, because you are energy. And it's a way to like really be about it. Like I remember the first time I started practicing a few strategies of energetic marketing that like I feel so called to teach in this course, Embodied Magnetism. My I mean, it's not really about gaining income, but my income tripled in a month. You know, it's not really about, this isn't like a course about money. It's about one, like total physical, emotional, mental vitality, and like really getting what you want in a way that is loving, of integrity, and realizing just how easy it is.
Yes, especially in a world that is like capitalism.
Hi,
It's all,
Sydney.
oh, hey, Sydney. Oh, you know, it's our world is really built on that physical exertion, hard work,
Mm-hmm.
burn it
Mm-hmm.
out, burn it down. And
Yeah.
one of the things, like, I think when people, oh, hi,
Yeah.
Sydney.
This is not about hard work.
No, it's really, it's why it's that vitality that you're speaking of. It's like leading from a place of resourced wholeness, from vitality, and shining that out as a way to continually, you know, kind of continue to like keep yourself nurtured and fed on a soul level.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
embodied magnetism, it's 4 weeks. Give us like the logistics. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so it's 4 weeks. And what I'm most excited about, like what's really cool about the way I've designed this course, is I designed it very similarly to how I offer a treatment. And so what I noticed this year, because I've had a lot of time to think, you know, and like basically was almost unemployed for a few months. So I had a lot of time. And I started to really get clear about really what is actually happening in a treatment. And like I've noticed that in every treatment, and even in my yoga classes, like it's something that really permeates so much of my work. And it's like there is a clearing. So there's a clarity. So it's like there's a physical, energetic, emotional, mental clearing. And sometimes that's all we get to. And that is exactly what is needed. And it is totally transformative to like actually experience your energy, your mind, your body as clear. It's a whole new world. And then the next thing that happened is like a rebalancing. It's like a reestablishing of that energy in your field. It's like, okay, now that I'm clear, what's here? You know, what is it that I like want? What is it that I do well? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? How can I kind of reorient my system here? So there's a rebalancing, not just of your system, but of your mind, and really what, like, why do you want to be a leader? You know, what does it feel like? And who do you want to lead and why? Like, what do you really have to say? What do you want to say? And kind of doing that soul searching. But that ultimately is the shift, you know, between the clarity and the rebalancing. That is that shift from being influenced by your environment to influencing your environment. It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, when I say out loud that I want this, later that day someone was like, do you want this? Yeah, I do. How do you know? And then the third week The third and fourth week are really about like the power, like I think the biggest transformations will happen in week 1 and week 2, between like that understanding and that rebalancing and that kind of up leveling to a place, but week 3 is all about like amplification, like really understanding how to be a beacon, how to really experience what alignment feels like with you, like how to understand that like who alignment happens inside and outside. It's like, it's not just about connecting with what you're here to do. It's about knowing where to do it and when to do it. And it's something that's so unique to you. And to really experience alignment is like a very high level of awareness and a very high level of energy. Like all of a sudden you're just lit up from the inside and you literally like cannot stop. It's so exciting.
I would also add that it's a very personal thing too, which I think is part of why this course seems like it's going to be so magical. And I trust that it is because I know you. But that the personal piece, in a world where so many business coaches and entrepreneurship programs are out there with a blueprint. I know, my air quotes, like telling you that it's, this is the way you do it. Well, here's the budgeting system, here's the this, here's the that, when in actuality, like, we're not meant to have these cookie cutter lives. Yes, of course, there are certain principles that, translate across the board. And there are certain things that, we all need in order to run a business in a particular way, but what I'm really hearing you say is that you are supporting people to find their way, because that's truly the most empowering thing. That's the most empowering piece, is like finding your special sauce, your like secrets, secret sauce, like your way of doing things in a way that feels really good for you, because it's in alignment with who you are and what you have to share and your gifts and how you like to do things.
Well, yeah, I mean, someone that hands you a blueprint, that's a logical leader. That's someone who's leading from here. I don't lead from here. I lead from here. I'm pointing to my heart. I don't know if you can see it. I'm like, I lead from here. Like, that's the difference between like someone who's operating from a place of logic and someone like me who's operating from a place of embodiment. Like, I know that there's no blueprint. I mean, nor did I ever have one. So why would I give you one? Like, I can tell you how not to make mistakes on these areas. But there's also something about my energy I've noticed that allows people to experience that clarity. There's like a space that I hold that's like the aha moment, comes through because my energy is so clear, which is a big part of how I take care of myself and like how I take care of my clients is by staying clear in my own energy. And the last piece, so the last of the 4 weeks, is experiencing that true frequency of embodied magnetism and energetic mastery and understanding your power. And that's when I really start to teach you those techniques on energetic marketing, because you have to have the other steps first. Like, if you stood here today confused about what you wanted and you were like, okay, I'm energetic marketing, like, you'd get 47 different things because you're confused. So like there's a recipe, but there's not a blueprint. It's like the kind of recipe that's like, use this as a guide, not a, what would be the word for that stuff?
Well, what is coming to mind for me is what you mentioned about the space that you hold. There's enough space for people to have those breakthroughs or those ahas around what they want to create.
Mhm.
So you're essentially holding the container for those moments of clarity, the moments of alignment, all of that to come through. So it's like making a salad versus